freaks and geeks out there in podcast land. It's Wednesday, April the 12th, and you know what that means. You got yourself another brand new episode of the Doctor's Orders podcast with the 512 Foot Doctor. The podcast where I meet with some of the most creative and influential people that I know to share stories from the ride of life. As always, I'm your host, the 512 Foot Doctor, coming at you live and direct on the road from Denton, Texas. If you're a returning freak or geek, thank you very much for checking back into our regularly scheduled appointment. And if you're new here, tuning in for the first time, welcome to the Freaks and Geeks family. Freaks and Geeks, let's break right on into it. This is episode number 35 of the podcast, and we got a returning buddy. We are on the road currently in Denton, Texas. A new residence. We're in a new location. A location that one, I've never been in. A beautiful location, nevertheless. And I want to bring in our guest, our returning friend, a returning freak or geek. Freaks and Geeks, put your hands together for the Shoe Janitor AJ Esquivel. What's going on, big guy?
What's up? What's up?
Chilling, man. Thanks for having us.
Thanks for being here, man.
Thanks for hosting us in this beautiful, your beautiful new humble abode. Tell us about this spot,
man. Just been blessed, man. Been living in a smaller spot for a while, and we thought it was time to get a bigger house for my son. As my son's growing, and so as he grows, we want bigger space for him to be able to grow and just have. Just space. Space is important to the growth of yourself. You know Definitely. What I mean? And so it's kind of like the goldfish theory. You know what I mean? You put a goldfish in a small jar, it's going to stay that size. But you put it in a bigger container, and it'll grow and get bigger.
Like a plant.
Yeah, absolutely.
Like a plant.
So
I will tell you one thing. I'm really, really trying to respect pauses. And I kind of told you a little bit about it prior. I might have told you about this. I've definitely told the Freaks and Geeks about this. I'm working on my phrasing. I'm working on my filler words, being the ums, the for sures, the yas. One thing I don't like that I say is, that's cool. Just another filler word that just wastes a bunch of time. So I'm going to try my best to respect my pauses and just continue to carry on. If I say I'll fuck it around, but that's been a goal for me lately, to back up on those phrases there. But again, thank you for hosting us. Thank you for coming through. Freaks and Geeks, if you haven't already checked out episode number 12 of the Doctor's Orders podcast, that featured the Shoe Janitor AJ Esquivel. So definitely go check that one out. But with this being the podcast that it is, this one is definitely meant to be better than that previous one. So, Shoe Janitor, I'm just going to call you that for the remainder of the episode.
Sounds good.
This is episode number 35, and for probably about the last 10 episodes now, we've brought in a question that you kind of help brand, help push, help reinforce the podcast. This podcast isn't supposed to be about shoes, but my presence as the host, the 512 Foot Doctor, has that origin of heat on the feet. So, my first question for you. I know you don't got anything on feet right now because we're just chilling. But what was on feet today?
Man, so I'm a big collector, right? I got tons and tons of shoes, but today was this morning was a rainy day. And so what I like to call is my rain boots is I like to wear stuff that I don't really care if I get messed up. Gets wet. And so today I rock some Kusa Asics, which are more like a running shoe. Dope colorway. It's kind of yellows and reds and oranges and black. The shoe is black as a whole, but super, super comfortable. Yeah. It's got like these fire pink laces in them, so I always get lots of compliments about how bright the colors are and stuff. Yeah. But definitely, I'm on my feet all day. I'm a school teacher, so I like to wear something that's gonna be comfortable. So on top of looking good, I also want to make sure that I take care of my feet while I'm on my feet all day.
That's right. That's so odd. That's ironic. We were both wearing Asics today.
Yeah,
that's cool though. I broke out the Asic Gel Light 3s. Yeah, I think so.
Dope colorway too.
Yeah, love it, man.
The undefeated colorway. Yeah.
That's not really my travel shoe, but like it's been big with me in travels because it beats well. I took that shoe to Marfa. I took that shoe to Big Bend. Did a little hiking up there with that joint on. Love it.
Still good?
Still good.
Yeah.
And I've, in all honesty, since hiking with it in Big Bend, I haven't cleaned it. And I really don't want to.
Yeah, what's interesting about that colorway, too, is like I feel with that kind of like army fatigue kind of green, like it becomes more sexy as you beat it in. You know what I mean? Like that shoe beat in is going to be dope looking.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? There's just certain shoes that do that. You know what I mean? That color, burlap does that too. Like that burlap color, sand color, or like some type of denim colors. That way, the more you beat them in, the more they look great. You know what I mean? That worn look. So.
Yeah, I seen them because we were fixing a room up here at the Esquivel crib, and I seen those New Balance, those denim New Balance.
Those are the Canadian tuxedos.
Yeah,
Those were a hard cop, man. Those are real hard to find, especially in my size. So. And it was a concept. It was a concept New Balance collab.
Yeah.
So
let's get this out of the way. Like you mentioned, it's hard to get that on a hard cop for you based off the size. I don't know if we dropped this in episode 12, but what's your shoe size?
Man, so it's an interesting question because different brands fit differently for me. So really, truly, it's funny. I can wear a 13 to like a 15. Okay. So, you know, some Nikes are narrow, whereas if the New Balance is really wide, I might be able to wear a 13 and a wide New Balance. But like for certain Nikes, I have to have bigger sizes, right? And so it's really in between those sizes. I'm really not copying too many size 13s right now for anything. So it's really 14s and 15s is what I'm wearing. Yeah. But that, you know, there's select shoes that they don't even make in anything bigger than a 13. So like if I want that shoe, I got to chase that size. If that makes sense. So.
As a big-footed head, tell us about this 13 and a half. This what's the story behind this 13 and a half?
So, from what I understand, like Nike only makes 13 and a half. So the half sizes are only made for Nike athletes. And so anything over, so you can get a 14, which is a stock run, right? Yeah. But if you get a 13 and a half, 14 and a half and up, or 15 and a half, anytime you see a half size over 13, that's going to be especially made for a Nike athlete, right? Yeah. Or given to those people. You're never going to see for sale just at the store a 13 and a half or a 14 and a half. Yeah. Probably the most famous 13 and a half in the world is Michael Jordan, right? Yeah. Michael Jordan wore a 13 on one foot and a 13 and a half on the other foot.
That's crazy.
And so that's kind of where I think that came from, you know. But yeah, the half size thing is kind of crazy. I don't own a half in my whole collection, which is interesting because I've come across a lot of opportunities to pick up some pretty rare shoes, and I've never had the opportunity to buy a half size. Yeah. It's kind of on a bucket list thing, even though
to find one of those,
to find a half size, right? Yeah. I guess to know where the origin of it is. So I'm into like the history of shoes too. Like, why is that important?
Yeah, definitely.
What's the background? The significant background.
I saw one pair today that I'd never seen before. Those Yao Ming Reeboks. Tell us about those.
So it's interesting enough, man. I, just talking to people in the community and stuff. I was at an estate sale, and I ran into this guy who I went to his garage sale about 3 or 4 years ago, and I ran into this guy again at an estate sale, and I had bought a bunch of jerseys. He buys storage units and stuff, and he bought this one storage unit that was just slam packed full of like really dope jerseys, right? Yeah. I think I picked up Kobe Bean Bryant USA with tags and everything for like $20, which is astronomical now, right? A Jordan USA jersey, the reversible, for like $25. Anyway, so we're talking at this estate sale, and he's like, "Hey man, I know you told me that anytime I come across some shoes to let you know." And I said, "Yeah, man, what do you got?" He goes, "I have these shoes, but they're really big." And I was like, tell me more about them. He goes, I think they belong to Yao Ming. And I was like, what? Like, it piqued my interest. I mean, because I'm all about collecting some of the PE stuff. And for you guys that don't know that, that's player exclusive.
Thank you for that. Thank you for that.
Which are made for the players specifically. And I ended up linking up with the guy, and it was actually a pair of Yao Ming's shoes that were made for him, and even cooler is he hand autographed, one of the toes of the shoes, and this guy wasn't a shoe guy, and he wasn't really an eBay guy, so he's just like, man, give me some money for it, and I gave him what I thought was a fair offer for it, and it was interesting enough, he gave me a Yao Ming jersey that was also signed by him, so. And he just found it in a storage unit, which is crazy. Kind of diamond in the rough, you know what I mean? And so I've been holding on to it for a while.
They're sick. I feel like it's a model I've never really seen. What's the model of?
I have no idea, man.
They're,
I think
they're
it's
wacky.
I think it's just like how Nike has Nike basketball, and there's so many different models and stuff. I think it's just a Reebok model basketball shoe.
They're cool. They sport the whole Rockets colorway, white and red and whatnot.
Definitely. They're huge, though, man.
Yeah, what are they, 18s, I think, right?
Size 18.
Yeah, that's crazy.
It's about as big as your forearm, which is nuts. So.
You used to have a pair of Ginobili PEs, didn't you?
Yeah, dude. I got a story for those.
All right.
So
we love stories here at the
So we went down. Funny enough, we went together, right? We went down to San Antonio for that show down there, that Kickspo show. And I wore the Ginobili's down there because we're in San Antonio. Yeah. Where, that's Ginobili's home, right? Yeah. His second home, at least. And funny enough, at the end of the show, we're getting ready to leave, and there were some guys outside that I had talked to previous in the day. And I was like, yeah, man, are you guys Ginobili fans? And they said, yeah. So I took them off feet and just handed them over.
Oh, shit.
And it's... and I always respected the dude, but, I wanted them to be in the hands of somebody who loved watching them play. Yeah. You know what I mean? And I would hope that somebody would want to do the same for me. Yeah. You know what I mean? So I blessed somebody with a pair of Ginobili PEs that day. Yeah. Which was a come up for me in the first place. So. Yeah.
No, Freaks and Geeks, you are in the presence of a definite charitable motherfucker for this episode for sure. Don't get that twisted. All right, Shoe Janitor. So, what's your favorite shoe brand?
Man, that's hard to say. I feel like these days I've been a lot more into the runners and stuff like that. By far, my collection is Jordan. Mm-hmm. By far, I think I have more Jordan 1s than anything else. Yeah. I probably have 100 pairs of Jordan 1s. But it's crazy. I just like what I like. Does that make sense? But it's mostly Nike. It's mostly Jordan brand. I have a lot of New Balance, a few different things, Reeboks and stuff like that sprinkled in, stuff that I really like.
Do you have those alien ones?
The alien stompers?
I think so.
I don't, man, but that's another pair that's escaped me, and I think
that was a Reebok, right?
Yeah, they're Reebok, but I'm pretty sure they only made them to a 13.
Okay. And
so, for that shoe, because it goes so high above the ankle, it makes me think that it would be uncomfortable for me. You know what I mean? To try to put that on, but that's a heat rock, man. Yeah. That's a definitely nostalgic shoe. Yeah. You know what I mean?
And Freaks and Geeks, when I speak Alien, I'm speaking the franchise Alien. Aliens, the same Alien from what's the Xenomorph? Is that what they call it? Yeah, that joint was Sigourney and whatnot. And I think R.I.P. Billy Paxton on part 2, I think. Yeah. But Freaks and Geeks, he's got a shitload of themed, because you got that Cobra, the G.I. Joe New Balance joints that we looked at. Yeah, you got a lot of themed sneakers too, right?
Yeah, so I find it really cool to collect stuff that has nostalgic value for me. Mm-hmm. And so I've also been a big fan of packaging lately. If I can find a shoe that has a cool box that goes with it. And I think back in the day too, which was really interesting, is you and I, when we first started talking shoes and stuff, those Guava Ween, the SBs, the black SBs with the pirate on the toe box. You know what I mean?
Are we talking
That's got the parrot feathers.
It's from Tampa.
Yeah.
Skate Park of Tampa. What is that?
Yeah.
SP Spot.
Spot.
Yeah, Spot.
Yeah, but that's it's an Ybor City joint, which is Ybor City is kind of like a mini version of New Orleans.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? They do like they shut down the city block, and it's festival, party, beads,
it's a port city.
Absolutely. And so I remember they did a special box for that one. And that's kind of like, that type of stuff is just so dope to me when they put the extra effort. Yeah. The dog walkers. I mean,
Nasty.
I'll never be able to.
I want to see those. Show me those if we get a chance at some point in time today. Or
I'll never get to see like the special box for that.
Yeah.
Or the
special boxes are
the
wild.
turducken dunk, right?
Yeah.
That thing was just crazy. The oven, the mitts, everything that came in that packaging. I'm all about that extra stuff. You know what I mean? I think it's really cool. Off rip, I could tell you what my favorite boxing is by far.
Sure, go for it.
Foot Doctor knows a lot about my personal life and the fact that I adopted a little boy a couple years ago.
Shout out to him.
He's the dopest thing that could ever come to me. But one of the things that Nike did that I was really engrossed on and super happy about is there was a movie called Box Trolls that came out, and in that movie, there's a little boy who is lost, right? No family, no nothing, and so he gets adopted by these trolls that live in these boxes. And so Nike did this thing where they were going to basically auction off these pairs of shoes, and the shoes themselves, the details on these shoes are just bonkers, from the leather to the eyelets to the shoelaces to the tags on the shoes. The paper that was inside the shoes was the newspaper from the city that the Box Trolls lived in. If you won an auction, you got a custom pair of Nike Elite socks in your size. The box itself is the prettiest box I've ever seen. It's hand cut out, hand tooled cardboard, and it's just amazing. And then all the money for that went to adoption services.
That's cool.
And so that has a double meaning for me. You know what I mean? I love shoes and love that, but I love the message behind what Nike was doing. So
that's a DreamWorks joint, right? All those joints. That's on the.
That's a Lakai. Yeah, it's a. I think it is a DreamWorks.
The Coraline. I'm trying to say it like that.
Yeah, but I think it's a Lakai, which is the same people that made Kubu and the two strings.
Okay.
They made Coraline.
Yeah, Coraline's at fire.
Yeah.
Fire film.
That's another shoe that like the special box.
Do you have that? That's a Roshi, right?
The Coraline?
Yeah.
No, it's a Dunk.
It's a Dunk. Okay.
Yeah, but
what was the Box Trolls was Roshi?
Yeah.
Okay,
Box Trolls. It's a Roshi high.
Yeah.
Which is
not
weird.
Yeah.
Yeah. But I mean, just God, the midsole is like blue brick from the bridge in which you see in the movie. There's so many details in that that are just so cool. Oh, and each shoe comes in its own shoe bag, and it's sugar sacks.
Okay.
It's everything.
To tie into the film.
Yeah, it's everything about it is super cool. Yeah. But yeah, the special boxing stuff is just super neat, man.
Yeah, no, I dig a special box. I think that's a good segue for the next question. Do you keep your boxes for your shoes?
I do. I would say I do have a ton of shoes that I don't have boxes for. And that's because I think those are my like everyday wear shoes that I just didn't deem the importance of keeping the shoe.
Love a good everyday.
You know what I mean? Keeping the shoe intact with the paper, the everything that goes into
the everyday shoe is like the offensive line for your heat.
Oh,
for your heat, yeah.
For sure. And you know those other guys, man, they might not get to see but once or twice a year.
Yeah, but
where
these
they
dudes
come
are putting
out.
in work.
Yeah, I put in work with a lot of my shoes,
Yeah.
man.
They're in the gym per se.
But they're the most comfortable. You know, it's hard to put
Most
on
reliable.
a Carmine from 2016. It's stiff, boy.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I mean? So you might get one wear out of those a year, but wear your shoes because they'll fall apart if
they'll
you don't.
disintegrate.
Yeah,
that's for sure. All right, so I got one more shoe question.
Absolutely.
Unless you want to add some more in, I'm all for it because I mean this is a big shoe meeting right now.
Yeah, absolutely.
What's the most uncomfortable shoe you have? If you want, I can share mine, but
run it, man, run it because I want to hear it.
Mine is the stained glass SBs. So uncomfortable. That and then the I'm saying the name wrong, but the Barclays. I don't know what they're Air Max 2s.
Yeah, the CB34s or whatever.
Barclays just so uncomfortable. Those are not comfortable.
Well, those are a foam posit outside, aren't they?
I think
Yeah, so like the foam posits in general are just super heavy.
Yeah.
Right? And so that material, I tell you this, your feet sweat like a bug in those things because it's like an oven, right? As far as the stained glass,
stained glass is the most uncomfortable.
I think it's because of the materials that
there's
they use
no
to
bend,
make it.
nothing to it.
It's the material. It's like that really thick, like outer coating they put on there almost. Beautiful shoe. Beautiful. The boxing on that was crazy too.
Yeah, the whole package for all those. What were they called? It was a concept piece, but I forget what. Because you had stained glass, and then you had the.
There was another one, right?
Yeah, there was another one that was like the Holy Grail, I think.
There was that iridescent and white.
And I thought there wasn't there another one?
There might have been a third one too.
I think there was, but they came in some really dope ass boxes.
Yeah,
sick.
I agree. Oh man, dude, people are gonna hate me out here, and I'm gonna say this, but it's a shoe that's not what it wasn't a hype shoe. But I've got 2 pairs of Nike Frees, and they're uncomfortable as shit for some reason.
What model? Because I had some
the
free
5.0 Nike Frees.
Is that like is that a P Rod?
No, it's not a P Rod. It's a.
Is it a skate shoe?
No, it's a running shoe. But it's something about. Because it's all cubes, right, on the bottom, and what happens, I think, for me, and is because I'm a big dude, and the amount of weight and pressure I'm putting on the shoe. Yeah, I feel like I can feel those individual things when I step down on it, and that's why it's uncomfortable. I mean, there's plenty of shoes too that are narrow. Like if it's a narrow shoe, you can feel it. Yeah, you could feel it on your arch, especially. Yeah,
I really like the free technology when it came to Huaraches and dunks.
Well, you have that dunk free bottom, right?
It's wacky. I think that was a Ross pickup too.
Huh?
I think that was a Ross pickup too.
Yeah, I've never had an opportunity to try those. It'd be worth a try. And I'm not saying that I wouldn't try other frees. It's just the ones I do have, man. I almost would rather wear something else. Yeah, you know what I mean.
Yeah, so. that dunk free is like a concert shoe for me. If it's a gritty concert, I'll take that to that and just break it in.
You could just dirt them out.
Like I've had them for a while, and some of the nubuck around the toe box is starting to chip off little bits. I mean, I'm in all honesty cool with that.
Those have elephant print on them or safari print,
something like that. Yeah, around the swoosh, there's a little something, little animalistic print around the swoosh. Sure. Yeah, that's cool. Did you know that? All right, that's all. You what else you got on shoes? Man, there's so much.
There's so much to talk about. How about upcoming releases, man?
Yeah, what are you looking forward to? Are you got an eye out for anything on there?
Man, I've always got this running list of about 10 shoes that I've got my eye on. Again, when I see a release that comes out, right, I get excited about it, and especially if it's something that I know I can't really get my hands on because everybody in the world is trying for them. I'll put those into the back of the mind, and sometimes, you can get them for good prices if you just wait, you know what I mean? And it depends on the shoe. But nothing's really piquing me right now, anything that's come out lately. I do have some things that I'm, chasing that are older. I'm super stoked that a pair of shoes that I was on my list for a long time is retroing, which is the
Burgundy fives.
the Burgundy
All
5.
right.
Man, the
I thought you copped those.
I did, but
and then you meatballed them, right?
they're done. No, not those. Those are my Wolf Grays.
Okay.
Meatball. Heck, thanks for bringing that up. So mad about those.
Almost brought those Wolf Grays today.
The grease on the toe box will never come out of a shoe. It doesn't matter what you clean it with.
Oh yeah.
No, that Merlot 5, the whole bottom of them just came off of those shoes one day. I wore them to school, and it's like, man, these shoes are older than a lot of the parents that got hurt. That are.
But that's a hot drop that's going to come out this year for sure.
The only thing about that shoe, man, is they don't make a color match for like chipping or anything. If you scuff that shoe, it's white underneath.
Yeah.
Trying to color matches is almost impossible.
Yeah.
And so that's always been a really tough shoe. It goes well with a lot of fits too, especially the neutral colors.
Yeah.
So, but yeah, shoes. As far as that goes, man, there's not a whole bunch on the list that I'm really super excited about. I'm always looking out for shoes for my son, though. I'm on the lookout for something that I.
What's his? Does he have a go-to?
So right now I have him wearing Cherry 11s to school.
Okay.
But I always worry, they, scuff them up and stuff, So I always send him with an extra pair of play shoes.
Yeah.
And he's got some like little Nike.
Have you asked him his favorite brand or anything like that?
I don't think he's quite to that point.
Yeah.
He just turned 4, so I think he'll get there. He knows that he has a lot of shoes.
Yeah.
Right? I always get him any holiday 4 or 5 pairs, for his birthday. I got him like 4 pairs. I've been rocking Vans for him since he was little too. And so I did buy him a new pair of Vans that he hasn't even seen yet. So we'll see.
Yeah, it's a beautiful day in the neighborhood when you got shoes.
Yeah, absolutely.
All right, so we're going. What are your thoughts on them re-releasing these DMP 11s?
Man, so are they the DMPs with the eyelet?
No.
Jordan on the eyelet?
No, they're not.
So here's my opinion on them re-releasing any of those shoes. Is they're not releasing it for the people. They're releasing it because they know they'll make money off of it. You know what I mean? They know that they will sell out on stuff like that.
Quick.
For somebody who is a collector who is chasing the original pair or the original box, 2-set box.
Yeah.
I don't know. It kind of makes me sad that like something that I consider like one of the top shoes, because that pack right there is just bonkers, right? That some kid who knows no history about the shoe, that's a reseller, is just going to go and buy up all these pairs
and hood it out
and have no idea.
Yeah.
Why it was a special shoe,
Yeah. No understanding of the background of it.
Yeah. So it's more about the money than it is the shoe.
Yeah.
And I can tell you that firsthand, when you go to SneakerCon and there's dudes walking around in Birkenstock selling sneakers.
Yeah, just there to make an income.
They're not there to be part of the culture.
Yeah.
So
no, I get you on that. I'm looking forward. I mean, I was looking forward to those fucking Bronson 990s.
Yeah, man.
Swung for the fences and struck out twice, and I was heavily disappointed in that.
The resale on those bad boys is bonkers too.
I think so, but it's gonna go down
like 500.
Yeah, it'll go down.
Yeah, for sure.
But the only other thing, aside from maybe those 11s at the end of the year, Thunder 4s, and you've heard me say this statement quite often. I need those for the collection, really do. I got a solid black and gold or black and yellow for the
black and yellow. You got to have them.
Yeah, got to, and that's a fire because the yellow on the Lightnings is different. I feel.
Yeah. You have the black and yellow 14s?
14s. No.
The black and yellow ones? You need those in
your
collection too.
Yeah. I
10 and a half?
Yeah, 10 and a half.
Right.
I got New Loves, both editions. I got
You had the original box set?
Not the original.
The double decker?
No, not the original. I don't have the box. I have the original shoe though.
Okay.
So I got both of those. Kill Bill Asics. Those Gary Payton 12s. A couple of like NFL based like trainers. You know, they always drop.
Yeah.
And I got like 2 of those.
Those sideline trainers. Yeah.
I think that's all I got in black and gold, and/or for the common.
There's a bunch out there, man. Those we were talking about the other day. Those Cortezes, the black and yellow.
Those
Cortezes.
are fire. Those Bruce Lee joints.
The clot.
So nasty.
Clot. Cortez collab.
Yeah,
it's dope.
Have
it's
you looked
a
more into
shoe
that?
with an undershoe.
Yeah,
you know what I mean?
Those are crazy.
You take one part of the shoe off, and there's another shoe underneath, which is kind of crazy concept, you know.
I forgot to mention, I do have those Charlie Brown Vans. There's a couple of versions of those because I can't count those out from the black and yellow, black and gold. It's black and gold. I've got like a skate high, gold and black with a bunch of Charlie Brown print on it, and then I have that low one that they did with the shirt print on it. That's nasty. That one's a fire piece.
Speaking of Vans, you know what? I've always been super jealous of something that you have.
What's that?
That I could never find in my size is the Woody Vans.
Those are on ice.
Like
Both of them are.
To me, like the details on that shoe are just they're so cool.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
I think the Woody's definitely better than the Buzz, but the Buzz is still sick.
The Buzz is sick, but that leather and the cow and everything about that shoe, they did a good job on that shoe.
Really good job.
That's another one that escapes me. I can't find it in my size, and I'm not willing to go on a 13 on the Vans.
That was one of their first true like big collabs. I think that was probably one of their first Disney collabs. I'm probably wrong on that, but they released a big capsule on that Toy Story.
On the
line.
Toy Story,
yeah,
it's a lot of money to be had.
Yeah. And they were slightly an easy cop because I remember going to Barton Creek. I think I picked up one pair there, and then I slunk out on the Woodies and Buzzes, and then I went online and picked them up. So, oddly enough, when it comes to like picking up shit for Vans online, it's a little bit easier. It was at that point in time, whenever that was. But yeah, those are cool. I don't know if I'll ever wear those. I don't know when or what. I got a pair for my brother, and they're done. I don't know where they're at. Yeah, but I mean, fuck it. He got his use out of them.
They're meant to be worn, man.
Yeah,
They're shoes.
Definitely. I like the fact that you've kind of what's the word I'm looking for? Not pressured me, but kind of influenced me to get him a pair of shoes specifically him for like holidays and birthdays and shit like that. So every holiday and or birthday I try to get him some like fire piece. That's really all I get him as gifts. I used to get a lot of the people in my family shoes for Christmas and whatnot, but kind of cut that back and it's just him who gets a dope pair.
I think that's a as somebody who's on the outside of that relationship, like I think it's something that you guys could have a bond over. Yeah. Is the fact that you'll always get him a fresh pair of kicks, you know?
And he really gets down with them.
Yeah, absolutely.
With shoes in general.
Yeah.
Yeah. I don't know who doesn't like lifting up a box. Especially if you don't know what's inside.
Yeah, absolutely.
And you see a dope fire pair of little sneakers in there.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That there's that feeling, man.
Yeah.
That feeling of opening the box,
Yeah. No, I get that. It's definitely it. So, Shoe Janitor, this is a travel cast, a little road cast. In the road cast line, we've hit Houston. We've hit Oak Hill. That wasn't too far from the house, but that was still a little travel. Now Denton. So, travel cast questions. What are some of your go-to road snacks?
Man, well, if you live in Texas, you got to hit the Buc-ee's.
Got to hit the Buc-ee's.
Beaver nuggets, man, the big old drink, barbecue, all that stuff that Buc-ee's has to offer. You know, there's one here in Denton, and man, if you haven't ever bought ice, it's 98 cents for a big old bag of ice. It's kind of a hidden secret there, at Buc-ee's. But Man, I like to get things that are quick snacks if I'm going to go.
Think back before the time of the beaver, because there was
Before.
a time, and the one snack that comes to mind is the what is it? It's corn. What is it called? The corn nut.
Corn nuts.
Corn nut was a go-to
Buddy,
travel
the
snack.
ranch flavored corn nuts.
Fire. Oh, one of the best. One of the best out there.
And then you had the weird people that would eat like the original flavor corn nuts
what
that
is
had
that?
no flavor.
Yeah,
It was just like, I'm not out here eating, the green giant corn here, man.
Yeah.
We're eating snacks because they taste good.
Yeah.
Barbecue flavor here too, and they have pizza hit.
Oh, yeah.
What about the combos?
Combos were good.
Combos were good too.
Combos were good.
You could hit the sweet ones with the peanut butter and the pretzel, or you could hit the pizza flavor or nacho flavor. I was into some combos.
For a minute there, Fritos had the barbecue twirls, barbecue twists.
The twist.
You remember those?
Yeah, the honey barbecue twist. Those are super good. I'll
Those
find
are
that.
good.
You know what? I'll find those and a lemonade, and that's like the best combination.
All right.
Of stuff, man. Yeah, man. I hit on the snacks, especially
You
when
gotta
I'm
have a
traveling.
good travel snack.
Oh, for sure.
You have to.
For sure.
I think spicy pork rinds and or chicharrones. Those were a good travel snack.
That is a good one. Yeah, man. That's I always like to travel with some extra goodies. We always, when we got my son on the road, we definitely have a bag full of something. Yeah. Always,
Those travel snacks are a go-to because you're gonna be on the road for however long.
Yeah.
At the minimum, 3 hours, and you want to be snacking on some good stuff.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah. Do you remember the roadside bathrooms in this state? This is still sticking with the travel shit, but before Buc-ee's, and there were rest stops that there were picnic areas, no bathrooms.
Yeah.
And then the rest stops that were all the fucking same throughout the state.
Yeah.
This I don't want to call it Art Deco because it wasn't, but it definitely had some Art Deco vibes to it. But back in the day, I want to say I can only speak from 90s era, but those were there for so many fucking years.
Yeah, for sure.
They were all the same. Every rest stop that the state of Texas threw out was the same architecture, and every picnic area without the bathroom. Who does that?
I don't know who decided that they were going to put steel toilets in all those bad boys too.
Yeah, that's
if you had to take a dump, it was like taking a dump in a prison. You know what I mean? Like steel toilets.
Yeah, those were crazy rest stops.
That's exactly it. But yeah, you're right about the Art Deco stuff. You go in there and it looks like it was untouched.
But those are unseen anymore.
Yeah,
those
for
are
sure.
completely gone.
I mean, I just think with the rise of the amount of population in gas stations, right?
Yeah.
That there's not as much of a need to keep those running or keep those going.
Yeah.
I remember the rest stops. They'd almost always have a vending machine that didn't work.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah. You get shysted out of a fucking 75 cents for a zero bar that you really wanted.
Or the Abba Zaba.
Yeah. So that's travel snacks, man. I got you on that. That's really good. Fatherhood and or this adoption process that you've been undergoing for quite some time. I mean, it's finalized and everything, but let's just talk about fatherhood in general. How's it been?
Man, it's life-changing. It really is. Being a teacher and being around kids for a long time, I always wanted to be that father figure for kids, right? To be a strong male role model for kids. But it's different when you have your own kid, you know? And not to get to too details or anything, but my wife and I couldn't have kids. We tried. We went different routes. We did the IVF stuff, doctor stuff, and talking to the doctor was like that. My wife would be a high risk pregnancy, and I told my wife, if I have to choose you or baby, I choose you. And so we decided at that point that, if we were going to grow our family, it was going to be through adoption, and so. And that's something that I think was always on the table for us, even if we had kids naturally, is that we wanted to adopt. That's something that we talked about when we were dating,
Yeah.
you know, and so, went through the process of adoption at first, through a private organization, and didn't realize how expensive it is to adopt.
Tell us about the difficulties of that,
Man,
because I think a lot of people aren't aware of that.
yeah,
And I'm only aware of it through
yeah,
your
it's
insights.
it's kind of crazy, there's this misconception of like just children everywhere, you know what I mean, that are waiting to be adopted, which is not the whole truth. There's a lot of families also that are waiting, for those opportunities. But my wife and I, we tried one agency, and that was a private adoption agency, and I remember going through the process, and we sat down with a caseworker, and they were like, all right, this is kind of the process, once you get accepted into the program, you're going to have to write a check for $19,000. We're like, what? And, that'll be a series of four checks. And I was just thinking to myself, like, man, like, this is going to be hard, not only emotionally, but like financially, to think that I'm going to have to sign a check for $19,000 every a couple months.
Yeah.
And this is before you got accepted to the program,
Yeah.
And so my wife and I was just like, man, we don't want the stress of that. So we were like, there's got to be other ways, And so we looked into the foster to adopt program, which is a big program here in Texas. And it gives opportunity to not only foster kids, but also become a family that could adopt through the foster program. And so we actually got dual license. Mm-hmm. We were a emergency placement home for kids. And then we were also a foster to adopt family. And so, it definitely, it was an eye opener, man. And it was like a rush of adrenaline, because you go through all these classes, and then you're waiting to get your certificate, or you're ready to be to get approved to be a foster home, and then all of a sudden it just hit like a freight train that you were going to start getting calls that there were kids that needed homes. You know, I actually have a quick little story, if you don't mind me telling it. So my wife and I were waiting to get our license for our foster home, and we had been waiting for a little bit, and we're kind of on the edge of our seat waiting for a phone call to tell us that we're licensed. And out of the blue, my wife got this call from a gentleman in a county, and he's like, "Hey, I have this 5-year-old boy, and he comes from a Spanish-speaking home, and the parents would like to have a Spanish-speaking home." And my wife's like, "I'm confused. We're not licensed yet." And the gentleman says, "Hold on for a second. You got your license 5 minutes ago." And so, like, it was like like a reality. We're like, "What are you talking about? We just got our license 5 minutes ago, and we already got a call." Yeah. And unfortunately, we weren't able to help that young man out, because we don't speak enough Spanish in our household to help that young man. And so that was a requirement of that one. We actually had a couple different calls, and it's really difficult because you don't really realize that you would ever say no, or this is not the appropriate home for those children. But there were situations like, we got a call for 3 kids that lived in a different county, and it was about an hour and a half from where we were living, and those kids needed to go have parental visits twice a week. Hour and 45 minutes away, and it just wouldn't have worked out. Yeah. Does that make sense? Yeah. Or we got this call that just really shook us. We got a call about a young man who was terminally ill, and the parents weren't administering medicine, and so the what was interesting is they said it was some type of infectious disease, but couldn't tell us what the disease was until we said, yes, we're willing to take that child in.
Yeah.
And just, for me and my wife, I was like, that we can't say yes to something we don't know.
Yeah.
Well, what if we brought that into our home and then, for any further kids that might come into our home, it might be dangerous, right?
Yeah.
And so it just wasn't a good match, and that's something that we prayed on. And then also, we talked to our caseworker through our agency, and they were like, the right one will come and you'll know. And so, yeah. So it was an up and down process, man. The adoption was hella crazy. Our son was in our home for 876 days before we adopted him, mainly because of COVID. COVID shut down everything.
Yeah.
It made paperwork go from slow to snail slow.
Yeah.
I mean, it just shut everything down. Crazy how things work though, because my son, we got a call that said it was coming close. Our lawyer said, "Hey, I think it's going to happen this week." And she gave us a call on Wednesday and said that the court was going to open for us at noon today. And we were like, "What?" So we're just elated and super happy that, we had this little boy in our home, and that we already knew he was our son, know, and so we rushed up to the courthouse, and it was one of the most special moments. I'll always remember that my entire life. Especially, they let a bunch of our family and friends Zoom in.
Yeah.
And there's a picture of my son reaching up to the screen and having like 50 people on the screen. And it was just so special.
Yeah.
What's even cooler about his case is, that courthouse opened for his adoption, and after his adoption, it closed back down. So he was the one and only in-person adoption in the state of Texas, in that county.
Damn.
For that year.
During that time.
Yeah. So it's pretty special. You know what I mean? That we got to do it in person. And he got to be in front of a judge, and everybody in the room was just so happy. But just the adoption stuff has been crazy. I think I'm ready to do it again. I'm not sure my wife is quite ready to do it again, but
tell us about the shoe. I hate to cut you off. Tell us about the shoes you wore on that day.
The
adoption day.
The adoption day shoes, which the gotcha day shoes.
Yeah. Was that the same day?
Yeah. So I had these Converse all custom made for all of us. They're just white classic Converse, and on the side of them it says Happy Gotcha Day. And so we all had all pairs with stitching on the side of them that all say Happy Gotcha Day.
Like a Walt-esque.
Yeah, very
font,
Disney,
right?
Disney font. And so those will always be special shoes to us.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And so actually Gotcha Day is coming up here soon. So it's pretty special moment.
I got you. That's cool. I guess let's what's the hardest lesson you've learned? I think you've kind of mentioned, I don't know if I'm kind of speaking for yourself, which I shouldn't do. What's the hardest lesson you've learned in this process?
Well, I can tell you before came to us, our son, we had a little girl in our home that we did say yes to, and she was with us for 8 months. And the day that the caseworker said that she would be returning to her family, I was pretty broken. Broken not because I was not happy for her. It was me being, just a little bit selfish. You know what I mean? I had bonded with this little girl and put my heart and everything into her. And she was very, very sick when we first got her. And, my wife and I just grieved after she left, and
it's a lot.
it is definitely a loss, and she's in such a great place right now. I'm actually friends with her grandmother on Facebook, and so I get to see pictures of her. Almost every other day, her grandmother posts pictures of her on there, and she'll comment on pictures and vice versa. And it's
What is she, like 5 now?
Yeah, she's 5, and so it's really great to just be able to still be in her life. You know what I mean? Even if it's arm's length. And so I still get to ask questions if I need to, but yeah, that was really hard, man. It was really hard to be okay with letting her go.
Yeah.
And that's something you do as somebody who pours love into another human being, is that you become attached.
Yeah.
And I was most definitely attached. I was heartbroken when she left.
Yeah.
And I was in a very sad place. I was definitely not ready to do it again. For a while.
Yeah.
It actually took us about 4 or 5 months to even start talking about it, about doing it again. I got that. Because I wasn't ready to have my heart broken again. And you have to get ready to do that same process over, because you don't know.
Yeah.
And so, yeah, it was a hard process, but anybody who's interested in doing it, I would definitely suggest doing it. It's a long roller coaster of emotions, and but just if you can keep the eye on the prize, which is that child, and making sure that they have a healthy, loving home, I would suggest doing it. So
like the Australians say, freaks and geeks, it's a long way to the top if you want to rock and roll.
Yeah, absolutely.
Freaks and Geeks, you're listening to Doctor's Orders Podcast, episode number 35. We got the Shoe Janitor in here, if you didn't already know. So, do you remember the last time we saw each other?
It's been a minute.
Yeah. You don't remember?
Yeah, when was it?
August the 24th of last year.
Wow.
Yeah, August
really?
24th, yeah. I had just come from the Chromatica Ball. Yeah.
August 24th.
That's the Lady Gaga concert.
Yeah, that's right.
Yeah.
Was it really last year?
Yeah.
Yeah. Damn.
Yeah.
Yeah, you came through, and we I remember that, because you came over for a while and kind of hung out.
You were at the apartment, right?
Yeah.
I think so, yeah. Yeah, I think so. Didn't we hit some shit
some
in
little
the
spots.
town?
Yeah. For sure.
That was cool. But that was I hate to put this on myself. That was a sick ass that was a concert that I've been looking forward to for quite some time.
The Lady Gaga.
Yeah, man.
She crushes. Took me a while to see the movie, but
you finally saw it?
I saw it. It was good. It was really good.
Fuck, a banger.
I respected it. Yeah.
It's a banger.
Took me a while. I think it was more about the
Me too.
I did want to listen to you about it. You know what I mean? But
beautiful film.
Yeah,
dude.
it's gorgeous.
Love that film.
Yeah, I actually because I've seen the original too, and I haven't. I actually thought that this was better than the original.
That's cool. The Christopher Cross is it Christopher? No, it's not Christopher Cross.
Chris Christopherson.
There we go. Yeah. Christopher Cross is an awesome guy.
And Barbara Streisand.
Yeah. Barb's. Yeah. But
no, they can both wail, man. They can both.
Yeah.
They can both kill it, man.
Yeah. But no, that was a concert that I definitely been trying to hit. All right, so I'm fucking glad that you watched A Star Is Born. It's one of my favorite fucking films of all time. But to kind of piggyback off that, that's not my most memorable concert. But could you tell the Freaks and Geeks what's your first concert you ever went to?
First concert?
Yeah. If you don't remember, think about the one that you...
I do remember my first concert, and don't laugh at me. But
Howie Day?
No, Howie Day is a good one. No. Boys to Men, man. It was a Boys to Men concert.
You've seen them a couple of times.
I've seen them a few times, yeah, man. They kill it.
Yeah.
Back when I was younger, man, it was about being sensitive and killing it, man. Killing it. And what's crazy is I saw them not too many years ago, and they're still killing it in their old age, man. They can still do it, man.
Some of the OGs of R&B.
Yeah, for sure.
What's the most interesting story that you have?
Most interesting story?
Yeah. You got a lot of stories.
I got a lot of stories.
You've told me some stories.
I have a really funny story. You want to hear a funny story?
Throw it at us.
So, I had a roommate here in Denton. It was my very first place when I moved back to Texas. I had a couple roommates, and we used to go out to this bar area in Fry. It's called Fry Street, right? I mean, on the way home, we'd always stop at McDonald's and pick up a couple chicken sandwiches,
Yeah.
couple McDoubles back when they were $1. And so one day we roll through McDonald's, and there's a dude out by the order thing, asking people for money. And my buddy is like, "Hey man, I don't have any cash, but I'll buy you some food. Like I'm gonna put it on my card." And the dude just starts cussing my buddy out, and we're like what? Like what's the deal? Like we offered get this guy some food, and now he's cussing us out. Like buzz off. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And so we order our food, and we get up to the thing, and dude, my buddy had this crisp 5.0 Mustang, super nice Mustang. And we pull up to the window, and I'm like, and I kind of from the passenger side, I'm like, "Hey buddy, are you the manager?" And he goes, "Yeah." I said, "Man, there's a guy that's standing there by the order thing, and when you don't give him money, he like cusses you out." Without a second's breath, this dude crawls through the window on top of my buddy's car and like chases this dude like down the street from this McDonald's. And I'm like what just happened? Yeah. You know what I mean? And so we're waiting there, and I guess he's the only dude working the window. Mm-hmm. And so we're chilling there for like 5 minutes, and there's no one behind us. And so finally this dude comes walking by, and he walks past the car, and it's funny enough, he grabs his keys, goes to the door and unlocks the door. He could have done that the whole time instead of crawling through the window and over the car. And he's like, "Man, sorry about that. Is there anything that you could do that I could do for you?" And I was like, "Man, if I could just get some fried pies," just joking with the dude. And he's like, "Oh man, I can't do that. I can't really give out any fruit." And I said, "Oh man, we're cool." So, like 3 or 4 other times, every time we rolled through, I'd tell the same guy would be in the window and be like, "Hey man, how about them fried pies?" And he would laugh sometimes. And, sometimes he was like, "Oh man, I can't deal with y'all right now."
This is the story I wanted the Freaks and Geeks to hear.
Yeah. And so, right down this McDonald's is on a hill. And so, right next to the McDonald's is a Jack in the Box. And so they are also open 24 hours. And so one time, I told my buddy, I said, "Let's hit up the Jack in the Box and instead." And so we roll up to the Jack in the Box, and I look over from the passenger window, and that manager is hanging out the window of the McDonald's. And I said, "Hey man, what's up? How about the fried pies?" And he just laughed, right? And so we're sitting there, we're getting our order from Jack in the Box, and the lady goes, "Hold on a minute," and she leaves the Jack in the Box, walks out the Jack in the Box, walks up to the McDonald's window.
Yeah.
The McDonald's guy gives her a bag. She goes back in the Jack in the Box, hands the McDonald's to us through the window.
Yeah.
And it was a whole bag of fried pies from the dude over there. And all I could just think is like, there's so many things wrong with what's going on right now. But it was like one of the coolest moments ever to see the Jack in the Box employee.
A little collaboration.
Yeah. Because they'd probably trade stuff all the time, right?
Yeah.
And so, but it was funny that they knew each other or enough for the Jack in the Box employee to go walk over to McDonald's to get us some food. And so
that's a good one.
We laughed so hard, and I've told that story a few times to a few people, and it always makes me feel like happy inside and a little bit giggly, you know what I mean? Because it was such a funny moment, something that was negative turned positive, and so
that's good stuff. What's one thing the Freaks and Geeks would be surprised to know about you?
I mean, I think the people that know me closely know this about me, that I'm a heart guy. I try to serve others. In it, pretty much in everything I do, I put others first. You know, it took me a long time to figure out what I wanted to do for a living. I bartended, waited tables, I worked at hospitals, I did different things, and then I had a passion for working with kids.
Yeah.
I did the PALS program when I was in high school, where you go visit the elementary schools, and you kind of partner up with them. And I did that, and I enjoyed it. And when I went to college during the summer, I was a camp counselor in the summers up in Pennsylvania.
Oh, shout out to Jens.
That's right, old Scranton Wilkes-Barre, But yeah, I got to spend some time up there, and then I left that and went back to school and did that whole thing and came here and I started a serious job. I did some sales jobs and then I moved back to Texas and I was doing some other things and I realized that I was really missing something in my life, and that was the working with kids. Yeah. Something that I felt like I was always good at, and so got my alternative certification to teach, and that's kind of where I went from there, man. And it's been a great 17 years, which is kind of crazy to think, that I've been doing this for a long time. So, but it's definitely a passion of mine. Yeah. And so
that's good stuff, man.
Yeah.
I got it. You got a question for me or anything like that?
How's it feel? I know you've been back doing the podcast here for a little bit. Does it feel good to be back behind the mic?
It really does. The first couple, and Freaks and Geeks, I haven't talked a lot about it. I've kind of desired to, but kind of been hush-hush on it. The first couple that I had under the wing, I felt, and there, that's I'm not trying to say So the first couple that I had under, I just possessed them. I had a couple of episodes just ready for editing and ready for release. I took so long. I took almost a year to just even edit those, because that was the tail end of that original venture of podcasting. And then I finally got to it, and I was like, let's just get these released. We have to.
The people need them.
The people need them. Yeah. People sat down with you fuck, and gave their time to talk with you about that. The least you could do is release them. But after editing those and releasing those, my apologies. That's almost a triple stutter. Damn it, there's that again. Stop with that. After releasing those, it felt really good. And just continuing moving this gear. I'm the only one moving this gear. Well, I'm not the only one, but the Freaks and Geeks are also moving it. And the guests that come in and take time to sit down and be a part of this journey are also moving it with myself. But after releasing more, I think I started back at 26 and we're at 35. So it's almost 10. 10 episodes in, and I'm really feeling it. I'm digging it, and I'm focusing on areas of improvement within myself for this program to be a little bit more successful, be it diction, be it context, be it the guests that come in. And I'm really just trying to, again, like we said at the top of this episode number 12, which you were last on, was a banger, but episode number 35 is supposed to be so much better than that. And that's just the goal, is to make the next episode even better than the last. But I think I've lost I don't know how to describe it. I didn't want to get back in the driver's seat because it made me relive a certain time, and I was like, dude, I don't want to. I hated to associate that time with something that I really, really appreciated. Mm-hmm. And it's unfortunate that that time, episodes like 1 through 25 got a bad taste in my mouth, because that's 1 through 25 creations that I put my everything into, and I really had the wheel turning at that point in time. But full circle, coming to now, I'm feeling much better with doing it. I know the improvements that I need to make, and I'm trying to make them daily. The people that I want to bring onto the podcast, the people that I need to reach out to, and just fucking around with the freaks and geeks, because there are freaks and geeks out there that follow this podcast and listen on a whatever basis. Shout out to them. Shout out to the freaks and geeks. But I'm feeling more comfortable, I feel, than I ever have been, kind of presenting this thing, editing this thing. I've always loved editing. I've always loved sitting in my studio of Life or Death, the one that I draft up, whether it's the first one, whether it's the current one, whether it's the roadcasts, and sitting with someone and just chilling for an hour and vibing with them, sharing stories with them, coming up with these questions that I want to ask, coming up with these things I want to know about these people, coming up with these, getting these questions out that I want the freaks and geeks to know. And again, meeting with these people, if they're people that I don't know, it's a little bit more difficult. It's a little bit more, I guess you could call it nerve-wracking, than it is to sit down with someone like yourself who is just, let's go. We can do off-the-cuff shit any day of the week. But I'm glad to be back in the driver's seat. I'm glad to be doing this again. I really do appreciate it. I really do fuck with it. And I can't wait to see what it continues to be, because this is Roadcast number 3. Where else is this going to take me?
Yeah, absolutely.
I'm trying to make it go back to Marfa, to hit up the Marfa Spirit Co. and sit down with them. I'd love for it to take me anywhere that it can.
Well, from the outside, just let me tell you that as someone who listens to the podcast, it's good to have you back. You know what I mean? There's a certain spirit that comes with you when you're behind the mic, and as my personal friend, yeah. I know you outside of the mic, and when you are there, you're there.
Yeah.
If that makes sense.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And you've always been one of my greatest allies.
Yeah.
And I've always wanted to be that person for you as well. And so we've always bounced stuff off of each other, man, and it's just good to see you back in the saddle, if that makes sense. I know it's kind of cliche to hear say that, right? But to see do the things that make you happy. You know what I mean? And to see that life is going well for you right now. You know what I mean? And it's funny how we talk shit about just what's going on with work and how these kids, how do I reach these kids? Yeah, but we know that these same kids are the kids we're trying to reach. Yeah. You know what I mean? And so I love being able to bounce shit off of you, and you say shit to me about stuff that's going on with your work, and how we always talking shit about admin, you know? Always. And it's funny because that's also a common denominator with another one of our friends, you know? And so it's just good to see you doing the things that make you happy. You know what I mean? And whether it be the podcast or work or shoes or, any of the things that we have in common, even the things we don't have in common, because I can't play an instrument for shit, but I know that stuff makes you happy. Yeah. And so because of that, it makes me happy. You know what I mean? Just being your bud,
Well, appreciate that, man, because, you were there during one of the darkest times in my life, and I was like, holy shit, this motherfucker's definitely was there and present whenever I needed it to call upon, and that was a pretty fucked off time that I'd never expected to go through, and now we're here.
Yeah.
So
absolutely.
It's all just, I don't know.
This is life, man.
Yeah.
Yeah,
it's about ups and it's about downs, and you can get off wherever you want to get off at.
Absolutely.
Where can the Freaks and Geeks find you?
Find me?
Yeah. A little IG tag, anything? Let's close this bad boy out.
At Shoe Janitor, or, at the local, steak and shake. You know what I'm saying? I'm out here getting Frisco melts, Nah, man, just, hit the Instagram or...
and I'll throw that in the description.
Yeah, absolutely. And, shit, if anybody ever wanted to learn about adoption, you got links to go through. My wife and I talk on panels, about people who are interested in doing adoption. If that's something that you're interested in, you could let this gentleman know or pass that message on to me, and love to help you to help others, if that makes sense. And those others being the kids that are in need of good, loving homes. So
yeah, that's good. That's good. All right, man. Well, I'm going to close this joint out. Thank you for hosting us here. Thank you for letting me help you out with your little man cave there. That's pretty dope.
Man. You did a lot, man. Thank you for helping me do that.
Freaks and Geeks, check the pictures. Follow the Shoe Janitor on that, and follow his journey. Follow what he's getting down with, because he's definitely got some good shit. I think before I want to close this out, let's give a shout out, because she's always been wanting a fucking shout out. So let's give a shout out. Shout out to I'm gonna do it. I'll do it. Fuck it. Shout out to we'll just do the first name. Shout out to Alyssa, if you know her. Hit it up. She's always craving a fucking shout out, so you got it now. So hope you appreciate that. And now, the closing credits. Freaks and Geeks, thank you for listening. And remember, new episodes of the podcast are released every Wednesday at 6 a.m. Check it out. Do me a favor. I need some assistance from the Freaks and Geeks out there. Hit me up on Instagram. Hit me up on whatever podcast platform that you prefer, and go subscribe to the Doctor's Orders podcast. Also, make sure you leave a comment, rate, and subscribe to the podcast while you're, that's the origin of the venture, subscribing to the podcast. So again, subscribe to the podcast. And we're pretty fucking dry on the podcast hotline. Leave a call. Let's go. What the fuck is going on? We could have answered a question right now. Hit us up, 512-522-3814, and we'll answer any of your questions that you have. Whatever you got, throw it at us. We want to get down with the Freaks and Geeks. And like I said, make sure you follow myself on Instagram. Make sure you follow the guests. Right now, it's the Shoe Janitor. Hit him up and continue to tell Freaks and Geeks that you know about the podcast. And remember, the Doctor's Orders podcast is a Life or Death Studios production. Freaks and Geeks, until next time, we'll see you on the next one. Don't be late.